Hi, welcome to Modern Resin. My name is Tiffany, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I turn a stone backsplash into coasters by adding epoxy resin to give it a unique look. I went to a local hardware store and I picked up a couple pieces of 12 by 12 travel team wall tile. I made sure to pick the ones that had a lot of pores so the resin would be noticeable. To be honest, I wasn't sure this was going to turn out how it looked in my head, so I did some test pieces and it looked promising, so I moved forward. Before I start, I'm going to show you my setup real quick. I do this from home, so I literally cover everything with plastic and wax paper. I set up 2 tables, so this one has all the materials I would possibly need while working on the coasters, and the second table is where I do all of my resin work. Now it's time to work. So I'm going to take each square tile out of the mesh with a razor knife one by one. So I noticed that the tile was chalky and dusty because it doesn't come sealed, so I used an air can to blow all the dust away. I like to use stone coat countertops, especially for coasters, because it's heat resistant and it's also very easy to work with. This resin gets mixed at a 1:1 ratio and it has a 40-minute working time. Yes, that's a fork. I use the end of a fork to mix epoxy. Don't judge me, okay? Time to mix some color. One of the colors I'm using is blue-green. This is one of my favorite colors. It is such a gorgeous blue that I love using it all the time. When you mix it, make sure that you add enough pigment so it doesn't look transparent, because you want the color to show through the pores. And now how I made the red. I made the red by mixing Fire Engine red and Vivid orange. I had a pretty hard time finding a red that I liked because I wanted a brilliant red, kind of like lava color, and I couldn't find anything like it. So blending these two ended up working out. The Fire Engine red is a paste which I've never used before. I've always used powder, so I did some practicing to get a feel of it, and well, it looks like I killed somebody, but no worries, I did no such thing. I mixed the orange the same way I mixed the blue. I made sure that it was not transparent, and then I added a couple drops of the red. This paste is really strong, so I made sure not to overdo it. You can see how quickly it changes the color as I mix it. To start, you will have to cover the entire coaster with the resin. It is tempting just to try to fill the pores, but it's more efficient to spread it out. Trust me, I found out the hard way. I originally intended to make these coasters in red only, but I wasn't sure it was going to turn out looking as cool as I thought it would in my head, so I decided to do a set of blue just in case, because you can never go wrong with blue. And now the torch. If you don't have a torch, you can use a heat gun, or worst case scenario, use a kitchen lighter. But in order to get rid of the bubbles, you would need some heat. And now the fun part, sanding. Just kidding, I hate sanding. So I'm going to start sanding with 80 grit and work my way up to 3000 grit. And you don't need any power tools to complete this project, but if you have a power sander, the steps will be the same, except that you will finish much faster. The key when sanding with 80 grit is that you sand all the way down to the stone to get rid of the layer of resin that is left on the surface after filling all the pores. As you can see here, there are some dark spots that show that there's still resin that needs to be sanded down. And here's what it should look like. Next, I move my way up to 120 grit. The goal with 120 grit is to make it smooth and get rid of any nasty scratches that the 80 grit left behind. After that, I start wet sanding. I'm using regular sandpaper, the same you would use to sand wood. I honestly was not sure that it was going to work on the stone. But as I went up in grits, the stone started to feel really smooth, like glass. It's amazing. I had some leftover pores that the epoxy didn't cover, so I cleaned them up with a needle and a toothpick. This step is optional, but to seal them, I use a stone sealer because it prevents staining. It did not change the look of the feel of the stone, so it can't hurt to do it. If you would like to see another one of my projects, click on one of the videos on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video.